Hi, we're back with one of my favorite people in the industry. Eric has been a person of support for me, a mentor, a guide, someone who I've been able to rely on. He spent 45 minutes with me just the other day, and I was having a really bad day. And so I just hope that you really appreciate Eric's presentation and his support of the community and small business owners.
Thank you so much, Jessie. Can you see the slides?
Yes.
Awesome. So let's go. And first of all, congratulations, MPI and the whole team for putting this Global Meeting Industry Day online. It's absolutely amazing what you've done today. And thank you for asking me to speak about independent business owners. You know, that's the only thing I've been doing in my life. So being an independent business owner, what I want to focus really today, can you see the image now?
Yes.
Awesome. So there is so much happening, and there's one thing that we can really control. The only thing that we can control is how we respond to what's happening today. And that's really where our power is. And so I just want to start by sharing with you one of my favorite stories, which is so appropriate for what we're living right now. It's the story of the little girl at Thanksgiving. She's going to her mother and she said, "Ma'am, how come we always cut the legs of the turkey when we're cooking it?" And she said, "I don't know. That's how my mother did it." And she said, "Okay, let's call grandma." So they call grandma. I say, "Grandma, why do you always cut the legs of the turkey before cooking it?" And she said, "I don't know. It's how my mother used to cook it." I said, "Okay, let's call great grandma." So they call great grandma, and great grandma said, "Oh, you know, before coming to the US, we were living in such a small village, this tiny house, in such a small kitchen that the oven was so small, we had to cut the legs of the turkey to cook it." And that to me resonates a lot. How much are we doing stuff because we've always done it and not because it needs to be done? And that's really a question of mindset. And if there's one thing that is essential today, is the mindset that we have that will help us get through this and be stronger afterwards. So what I'm going to focus on in the next 20 minutes really is three things. What should we do today, especially if you haven't done it yet? What should we do in the next weeks? And what should we do to prepare ourselves for after the crisis? And for each section, I will share with you 5 ideas, 5 tips, 5 concrete actions that you can implement yourself. But before I do that, just a few words about my experience. I'm leading Sigitix, which is a SaaS platform in ticketing in North America, amazing technology. I've been volunteering all my life in various organizations, and obviously with MPI, that truly changed my life professionally and personally. And with Even Business Formula, I'm helping independent business owners to start their business or to manage and grow their business. I wrote a book called Meeting at C-Level, which is really the first book on the why of a meeting. And last week, I launched the podcast, The Business of Meetings. I'll put it at the end as well, so you can take a picture and get subscribe immediately. It's where I'm inviting thought leaders in our industry, discuss with them elements that are really important for everyone, but specifically for independent business owners. And today, the cherry on the cake is the episode is with Mike Dominguez. So what we should be doing today if we haven't done it yet? The first thing is face the brutal facts first and switch to survival mode. You need to be on survival mode already. And if you're not, switch on that right now. This is the situation we're in. We didn't ask for it. We don't know when it's going to end. And there's one paradox that I think is very helpful, is the Stockdale paradox that says, confronting reality is vital to your success. And the story is from actually in the book, From Good to Great, from Jim Collins, where he's actually speaking about James Scottsdale, who was a former vice presidential candidate and naval officer, but he was a Vietnam prisoner of war. And during his time as a prisoner, what James Scottsdale did is not thinking that they were not giving himself a deadline as to when he was going to be freed. And contrary to some other prisoners who were saying, you know what, we will be freed at Thanksgiving, or we will be freed at Christmas. And Thanksgiving came and Christmas came and they were not freed yet, and they lost hope. So that's the first thing to do, is to go on survival mode and don't think that it's going to be ending in 1 week or two. Don't give yourself a deadline. Obviously, monitor that, be very cautious, but don't set yourself a date to when this is going to come back and reopen again. The second thing, which is really essential, look at all your expenses and line items. So the two main cost expenses that a company would have, obviously, is first is payroll, and then is the rent of the lease. We'll talk a little bit later about the team aspect of it, and furloughing people, laying off people, or being ourselves being furloughed or lay off. That's obviously a very important line item. But as terms of rent and lease, go and speak with your landlord. Go and speak with your bank. Talk about your bank when it comes to your mortgage. There's deferment, but there's also forbearance that can give you another 3 to 6 months. There's obviously all the help from SBA that is coming on. So really make sure that you are taking care of all the line items that you have. Is there anything that you're subscribing to that you don't need to? Really go through all the line items of your expenses. Then the next point is setting a calendar for you and your family. We might enjoy working from home, but we were definitely not planning to work from home for so long. And so it is important to have a routine, to have a calendar for you. And it's also very important because there's other people in your house and with your family. So as far as I'm concerned, I keep a routine every day. I shave every day. I dress up every day, like if I was going to the office regularly. But I'm also very cautious with the other people in the family that are here. So we have a schedule for everyone and try to respect each other's time. The next point that really is essential, and I believe Jason Dunn in the panel earlier on talked about it, is the self-care. Being self-care is not being selfish. If you're not well, you cannot be well for your family. You cannot be well for your community. You cannot be well for the others. My friend Sherry Walling, who's the founder of Zen Founder, she's an amazing podcast. She's a clinical psychologist. And she's talking about the fact that 72% of entrepreneurs struggle with their mental health. 72%. And that is in the moment where there is no crisis. In general, 72% of us are struggling with mental health. So trust me, when we're coming into this crisis, it is essential that we realize that we are all faced with that. Obviously, everyone, but especially, specifically independent business owners, you need to take care of yourself. And please don't go with this taboo. Having this mental health issue is big for everybody, and we need to take care of us. And last but not least, the fact that you are experiencing what you're experiencing now doesn't say anything about your entrepreneurial capabilities. The fact that you've been furloughed, that you've been laid off, or that you had to furlough friends, that you had to furlough people, that doesn't mean anything about your entrepreneurial capabilities. It is a situation where we are all in it, absolutely all of us, regardless of the size of a company. So please be a little gentle with yourself. So that's the first thing about right now, if you haven't done it yet. The second part is really what to do in the next weeks. First and foremost, and Alex did an amazing presentation on communication, but it's really constant communication with your team and stakeholders, and with your family, with your friends. This is very important that you keep this communication channel, that you reach out to people, that you're making sure that all your stakeholders you're keeping in touch with, your customers, your suppliers, vendors, everybody you're in. And as Alex rightly said, it's also a question of timing. When I have Paul van de Winter that is reaching out on the cover of the magazine, said, we are here for you. I trust him because he's constantly in communication, because MPI is part of my life and we are in constant communication. But when I'm receiving emails for people I haven't heard for 5 years that are telling me they're here for me, I kind of, really? I didn't even know you exist. So be authentic and make sure you're communicating regularly. I personally have a call every morning with my team on Zoom. I'm also reaching out individually to each and every one of them every week. Second part, who can you help or how can you help create value? Make a list of your top people. Make a list of your top 50, your top 100 people, whether it's, again, private or professional, and reach out to them. That's 2 or 3 calls per day, genuinely asking how they're doing, what you can do for them. And in terms of networking and in terms of sales, please, please, please don't sell me anything now. I am not in the mood of buying anything now. I'm in a situation that has been tough, that we've never experienced before. So please be authentic, but be genuine and think about me, not about you when you're talking. The next point is, what is it that you always wanted to do when you will have time? Steve O'Malley mentioned this point, that rightly so, you know, there's so many things that we say, oh, we'll do it when we have time. And personally, I feel for all the people who told their spouse, yeah, I will do that when I have time or when I'll be home. Well, guess what? It's time to do it. But in all seriousness, is there's a project that you always wanted to do? This is the moment to do it. This is the moment to start this project and to advance its execution. The best example I want to give you, again, it's about the podcast. I always had this idea of bringing people in my network and thought leaders to help independent business owners. And I thought I would be launching the business of meetings this summer. And then 2.5 weeks ago, I reached out to the team I'm working with and I said, listen, how about we launch in 2 weeks? And which is exactly what we did. So the next point is about yourself. Meditate and start a new habit. I don't know about you, but I'm meditating every day. I use this app called Calm, and I know there's others on the market. And I can sincerely tell you that if I don't meditate one morning, I can feel it in the day. But besides that, start new habit. Start journaling. This is very helpful as well. Start your morning routine. I always say that I will start intermittent fasting. Guess what? I'm doing it now because I don't have the excuses. I'm traveling, I cannot do it, there's the activities of the kids. That's the moment to start new habits. And last, and certainly not least, when it comes to what to do in the next weeks, learn new skills. Obviously, online meetings, we all have to be skilled at that or learn about it. Yes, as Susan was saying in the panel, there will be more probably a mix with online and virtual, but face-to-face are never gonna go away, and they might include, you know, an online aspect. But that's the moment to learn new skills. And I should applaud again MPI for opening the entire library of MPI Academy. This is the right thing to do for the members, for our community. And there's some amazing courses that you can take there. This is the moment to do it. So I want to finish, and the third part is how to prepare for after. Well, after, if you think that we're going to go back to normal, I'm sorry. We're never going to go back to what it was before. We're going to go back to a new normal. We're going to go back to something that is going to be building itself in the next weeks, the next month. This is not going to happen overnight, but it's definitely not going to be what it was before. And I just want to share a personal story with you just to make the point. A few years ago, I was still living in Brussels, was having lunch with some friends. And, you know, in Brussels, it's okay to have a glass of wine for lunch. So what we did, we were having this lunch, and I asked a friend, do you want some wine? And he told me, no, I'm flying this afternoon. I said, okay. A few minutes later, I receive a phone call, hang up the phone, and look at me and said, Eric, give me a glass of wine. I say, Mark, I don't understand. You told me you were flying. I said, yes, but they're closing the airspace. I said, what? Look outside, blue sky. I said, come on, you're kidding me. No. Have you heard about this Icelandic volcano, Eyjafjallajökull? the ash cloud is coming over Europe and it's closing the entire airspace. So imagine, put yourself in the shoes of somebody attending a risk management workshop 3 months before that volcano eruption and being asked, what can go wrong? Give us an example. And that person would say, well, one day a volcano will erupt in Iceland and the airspace will be closed all over Europe and it will impact everyone in the world. You probably would have been laughed at. And people would say, well, it's good to be creative, but be a little bit realistic. Guess what? If you would have said one day that the entire world would have been affected by this pandemic and changed completely our lives, people would say you're exaggerating or you should be working in Hollywood. Well, this is the case. So there's not going to be the same thing as before. There's going to be a new normal. Let's work towards this and be realistic about the fact that this will be a new normal for all of us. And the second point is how to prepare yourself for after is think about your business model and think about yourself as a startup. Your business model is broken anyway, regardless of the size of your company. So this is the moment to really look at what is it that you want to be doing, how you want to be positioned, and what is the business model that you want to be applying. This is a wonderful tool called the Business Model Canvas. I actually worked with its founder 10 years ago with MPI. And this is an amazing tool which helps you think about the new business model in few hours. So it's not that you need 6 months of market research. In few hours, you can talk about a different business model for your business, regardless of the size of your business again. That's an exercise that it's interesting to do right now. And also project yourself in few years. What does that mean for you in few years with this business model? And serendipity of life has it that a month ago, I was on the annual retreat with my EO forum. And the 8 of us were watching the world really falling apart around us. And in the meantime, focusing on the theme of our retreat, which was describe your life in 10 years. Sounds funny, right? And so we had some exercise that we had a question to answer. And the outcome was, and I wrote for me 2 pages describing my life on the eve of Thanksgiving, the night of Thanksgiving, 2030. And that is helping me a little bit now when, yes, some days I'm wondering, I'm stressed, what's going to happen. This is grounding me because I'm thinking already about what is it that I'm going to be doing in the future. And going back to this business model canvas is a wonderful tool for each of you to use and think about your business in few weeks, in few months, and in few years. Next point is, what are you going to change? There is no doubt that things will not be the same. So what is it that you're going to be changing? What type of job do you want to have if you're looking for a job? Or what type of company do you want to have? If you want to create one, start one, or because you still have it, but you need to reposition or pivot yourself. What type of clients do you want to be working for? What type of partner do you want to be? Do you want to be only focused on logistics, or is it the time, the opportunity to really think in a different way and say, you know what, this is how I want my customer to feel and to react and to think about me. I want to be more as a strategic partner. And I just want to share with you an example of something that I did at the past crisis. No, even before that, it was 09, 010. What happened was that we had to reinvent what we were doing. And in the same time, we developed a new methodology with my business partner in Brussels. And I'm in front of a financial institution, 7 people that are telling me about the 10,000 people meeting coming up. And they need to prepare for that. And all of them, they keep saying, we need to align the people. We need to align. It was the buzzword of the day. So at some stage, I paused and looked at them and said, can you please do me a favor? Each and every one of you, take a piece of paper and write down for you the 3 main objectives for you, for your organization next year. And guess what happened? 7 people, 11 different answers. So I look at them and said, you want to align 10,000 people? You're not even able to align yourself. So, you know, in that case, you have 2 options. The first reaction is, who the hell do you think you are? And luckily, the second reaction was the one they took, said, oh, you made us think. So we started working in a different way with them. My point here is that this is something that we had to think about, how we want to be perceived by our client. What is the new approach? So we create those questions, everything. So my point is for you today, this is the time for you to think about what are you going to change, how you want to be perceived, and block those time in your calendar to really think about it and do nothing else. My fourth point, and look at this lady practicing Krav Maga. It's about discipline, focus, and grit. Look at her focus. Look at her eyes. She's extremely focused. She's extremely disciplined because she has to learn on a regular basis, and she has grit. She's being hit. She's standing back up. She's fighting. She's never giving up. That's what we all doing now. There's an amazing business person named Vern Arnish who created EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, and who wrote the book Scaling Up. And he's talking about the two main factors for somebody to be successful is to have discipline and focus. And we need to have discipline today, and we need to have focus today, but we also need to have grit, this perseverance, this never giving up. And that's coming back to my point, which is the one thing that you have to be working on today is your mindset. That will help you go through those weeks until we're going back to face-to-face and live event. And last but not least, what are you grateful for? I know it sounds a little bit strange to think about being grateful for something right now. And as the say goes, you cannot calm the storm, so stop trying. But what you can do is to calm yourself, because the storm will pass. And yes, it will pass. If you are over 35 years old today, you've been in previous crisis, you know this will pass. If you are under it, it's your first business crisis, you know it will pass as well. So what are you grateful for? I'm very grateful. And my silver lining really is that I'm spending much more time than ever with my family, with my wife, and my daughters. And when I think about it, that will never happen again because, kids grow up, they leave the house. And so that's really my silver lining. And as Mike Dominguez was telling me that, Eric, might be your silver lining, but is it really their silver lining? So, but in all seriousness, think about what you're grateful for. That's very important for today. So just to recap, for today, if you haven't done it yet, face the brutal fact, go into survival mode. That's 1. 2, look at your expenses line items. 3, set a calendar for you and your family. 4, take care of yourself. 5, please don't beat yourself up. That has nothing to do with your entrepreneurial capabilities. In the next weeks, 1, constant communication. 2, who and how can you help and create value? 3, what is it that you always wanted to do when you'll have time? 4, start new habits, meditate. 5, learn new skills. And last but not least, to prepare for after, the first point, we're going to go to a new normal. We're not going to go back. 2, think like a startup. Anyway, your business model is broken. 3, what are you going to change? 4, focus on discipline, focus and grit, and really your mindset. And 5th, what are you grateful for? And before we go to the Q&A, I just want to leave you with a beautiful poem from Laura Kelly Fanucci that resonates a lot with me these days. When this is over, may we never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger, full shelves at the store, conversations with neighbors, a crowded theater, Friday night out, the taste of communion, a routine checkup, the school rush each morning, coffee with a friend, the stadium roaring, each deep breath, a boring Tuesday, life itself. When this ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we wanted to be, we were called to be, we hope to be. And may we stay that way, better for each other because of the worst. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share with you those thoughts. If you want to take your phone, take a picture with your camera, you can directly go to the Business of Meetings podcast with Mike Dominguez today. And if you have any question, here is my email.